Hi, I'm Cynthia McKinney, and I'm pleased to make this very brief presentation to you about my experience using WikiLeaks while writing my dissertation. As many of you know, I recently completed my requirements for my PhD from Antioch University. So now I am Cynthia McKinney, PhD, and the field is leadership and change. So I requested that Dr. Peter Dale Scott serve on my dissertation committee, which he graciously accepted the invitation to do. And therein begins our story. Really, the story honestly begins after I successfully defended the dissertation. The dissertation was on Hugo Chavez, his leadership and his legacy on race. And I sought to use WikiLeaks documents because I wanted to place Hugo Chavez's leadership in the context of what it was exactly that he was fighting and combating, and why it is that people around the world who were political activists knew the name Hugo Chavez. And I went to many conferences around the world, and the Venezuelan delegation was always the delegation that received the most cheers. And what was that? What actually was going on with Hugo Chavez's leadership? Well, anyway, an important aspect of that context was provided through by the contents of the WikiLeaks documents, the State Department cables that were released by WikiLeaks. And in all, there were over 2,200 WikiLeaks cables that mentioned Hugo Chavez. In addition to that, if you remember, there were the global intelligence files that were also released on the WikiLeaks platform, and those were the emails from Stratfor, which is a private intelligence company that fashions itself or fancies itself as the shadow CIA. So now, so I write this dissertation, almost 300 pages, and I include, because of my own historical interest in the counterintelligence program, so I used information from the counterintelligence program, I used information from the Frank Church Committee reports, and I sought to use these primary sources of U.S. policy making behind the scenes that at the time when they were written, nobody thought that they were going to be seen for a very long time. And that was exactly the case with the WikiLeaks State Department cables as well as the Stratfor emails. Interesting information, and I think absolutely necessary information. But as I was going through the various stages of preparation for writing my dissertation, what I learned was that these documents were really not used in the academy. And so, I mean, you know, it was like maybe 10, 15 documents total, research projects that were completed that used COINTELPRO documents. And given the importance of the counterintelligence program and its demonstration of what lengths the United States government will actually go to in order to quash dissent, and this is at a time when very few people even were thinking about surveillance and all of the things that we know now as a result of the courageous whistleblowing of Edward Snowden. This was back, COINTELPRO was back in the time when the United States was championing itself as a leader of democracy and, you know, the leader of the free world. And here they were disrupting people's marriages and drawing cartoons to make organizations fight each other and doing all kinds of crazy things that should never have happened. Tracking people's bank accounts and trying to stop them from having speaking engagements, to keep them broke and poor. These are the things that our government actually did to our leaders. These are our authentic leaders who arose at a time of intense conflict in our own country. Well, at any rate, so I write the dissertation, some 300 pages, and I successfully defended the dissertation. The committee then had done its job, at least that's what I was told. And literally, I'm on the plane returning from Seattle, Washington, which was the location of my defense, and the United States government not only prosecutes Barrett Brown, but they sentence him to some 5 and some odd years in prison. And what was it that Barrett Brown did? He used WikiLeaks documents. In fact, many of the same documents that I used in my dissertation. That caused the librarian at Antioch University to completely, totally freak. And she said, they're going to subpoena me, and it's going to, it's just going to be a world of problems, and I'm going to have to turn over all of my documents. And so basically, I ended up eliminating all of my WikiLeaks references from my dissertation. This was something that I had to do in order to get through the program. It was either that or shut the dissertation, not make it public. But making it public is a part of the requirement of Antioch. So, I was sort of stuck. And so then that meant that I had to go back and rewrite and redo and eliminate and cut. And so I did that. But what that tells us is that the information that's used in WikiLeaks is not going to be researched properly. Finally, I was allowed to place a preface of protest in my dissertation. And so the dissertation begins with this statement of protest that because of the prosecution, which I think is an unjust, unfair prosecution of Barrett Brown, that I was forced to delete all of my WikiLeaks information. Finally, the bottom line is this. In the academy, there's not been sufficient research into the violations of the Constitution from the COINTELPRO era. And so now we're doing the same thing all over again if WikiLeaks is not a part of active research in the academic institutions. WikiLeaks is a valuable service that deserves to be explored, whose contents deserve to be explored and published in the academic arena. And I thank Dr. Peter Dale Scott for thinking about this aspect of, any kind of truth. That's what WikiLeaks provides us, is a kind of insight into U.S. government behavior that the writers never thought that we'd be able to see in our lifetime, some of the information that's there. So thank you very much for allowing me this brief opportunity to explain to you what happened during my dissertation. Thank you.